Faith Church, hope you're well. It's January the 11th, Monday. Another house to house message. Got a couple friends who have either just had a baby recently or are expecting a baby, and it's been making me remember those days a couple decades ago, actually, at this point, when we had babies in our house, and such a great time as parents, but also, pretty challenging because babies aren't subtle. Babies tell you what they want. They're pretty direct. We get to be adults, we're sometimes less direct. I was talking to a friend today, and we just recognize sometimes adults don't shoot straight. They tell you one thing, but it's not really what they think. And you have to sometimes figure out what they really think, what they really want. And it can be a challenge sometimes. Not so with babies. They tell you what they want when they want it. If a baby's hungry, the baby just fusses, it cries, it throws a fit, it lets you know. And it's if you think about it, you may have fed that baby 1,000 times before, right on schedule, and it's if the baby doesn't remember any of that. It's like, I'm hungry again. I'm gonna cry and cry and cry because I want to get fed. And baby doesn't think, well, my mom has fed me every time this day for the last 6 months. I can just wait. I know she's gonna come and do it. No, babies don't do that. I want to keep that in mind, that image of a hungry nursing baby, as we just want to read again the words of the psalm for the day. It's very short. I'm going to read the whole psalm, Psalm 131, and it struck me today. That's a powerful prayer here. So listen again to these words from David, who writes, O Lord, my heart is not lifted up. My eyes are not raised too high. I do not occupy myself with things too great and too marvelous for me. It's an admission in prayer that, I'm of humility. I know who is God and I'm not God, and I recognize my place, and I recognize that there's a whole lot that I don't know in this world, and it's a good place for me to be. And then he goes on to use this analogy. He says, but I have calmed and quieted my soul like a weaned child with its mother. My soul is like the weaned child that is with me. O Israel, hope in the Lord from this time on and forevermore. There's the idea that humility and confidence, in humility in ourselves and confidence in God, are two sides of the same coin. Once you have confidence in God, that he is a good father who could be trusted, that Christ is loving and gracious, then we can have humility. We don't need to try to raise ourselves up or think ourselves higher than we need to, or imagine that we know more than we really do. Humility in ourselves and confidence with God go together. I love this image of the weaned child. Who knows? Weaned child, back in ancient times, a child would sometimes not be weaned until they were 4 or 5 or 6 years old. That's still true in much of the developing world. But when a child is weaned, that child now has a confidence in mom, that they don't have to throw a fit, that they're hungry, they can just say, Mom, I'm hungry, or wait, or know that dinner's coming. They've had experience, and there's a peace and quiet that comes with that child that doesn't exist in a baby who doesn't yet have that confidence. Ben Patterson, who's written this marvelous little book called God's Prayer Book. Some of us remember Ben was our fall retreat speaker some years ago. He says this in response to this psalm. He says, ask yourself, when you last felt truly contented and at peace, then pray for this grace. Say to God, yes, like a weaned child is my soul within me. If you don't mean it, say it until you do. Tell the Lord that you want to trust him even when he's not doing what you'd like him to do. Tell him you'd rather know him better than have him fulfill all your demands. And that's really good, that we would be able to pray those things, to say, God, I trust you even when I don't know what you're doing. I don't understand what's happening in my life or the world. And also to say, my desire is to know you, Lord, even more than to have you give me things, just to know you and be with you. I would encourage you to pray that prayer and use Psalm 131 today. If you haven't already, it's short. Pray it through a couple times and let it just sink into you. These are powerful words that we would, I desire to have that kind of rest in my soul, like a weaned child that's just is at peace. Such a great prayer today. A few quick reminders. We will meet tomorrow morning to pray, our gathering for prayer at 7:30. The link is on the email here or on our webpage. And as I said yesterday in worship, we're going to be praying to the Lord of the harvest to prepare the hearts of those in our city to know him and to have compassion within us. And I would love for you to come and pray with us. It's just 30 minutes. You can pray aloud or you can just pray in silence. Either way is fine. You can show up in your pajamas, keep your camera off, that's fine. And I'd love for you to be with us, 7:30, 8 o'clock tomorrow, Tuesday morning. And then lastly, if you missed our workshop last night, the Ripe Tomatoes workshop, I've included a link here to the recording. You can watch it. It's about 30 minutes long, and love for you to do so. Wherever you are today, as always, receive this blessing. I pray that you would truly know the love of God as your Father and as a good Father, and the grace and peace of Christ, his Son, and the unity and the fellowship of the Spirit. Peace.